Big Fish. Took a couple L's, rung a couple bells, real ones, too legit for coin telling. All troopers. Ain't never been losers. Welcome, 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 brethren. We got a new time just for today. New time for today. All we do is impress, put the work in, never mind all the stress. Tap in, send to a friend, tell a friend to tell a friend. Me and the guys ain't never been losers. OG, Big Fish. Do y'all hear me? Do y'all hear me? Do y'all hear me? Let me turn off the heat. Don't need any heat. I don't want y'all getting distracted listening to that in the background. This show, we already gonna have enough heat on it. All right. We already gonna have enough heat on it. It is an amazing day. It is December 18th. It is my mother's birthday today. So very excited about that. We will be staying. I'll be staying with them, or the family will be staying together. I'm not telling y'all where, but we're gonna be spending the next couple days together. It's a little crooked. It's a little crooked. My face is a little crooked, so the glasses look crooked, but it's really just my face. But it is what it is. So we'll be spending some time together over the next couple of days. Super excited about that. Super excited about that. That's partly one of the reasons why we're doing the earlier show. Got to give time to moms, even though I hate changing the times, because I know that I really appreciate when y'all look forward to it at particular times. And I know that when I change up the times, it may inconvenience y'all. So my apologies in advance for that. But it's mom's birthday. It's mom's birthday. So we got to rock out. Okay, so Uncle Brother's in the back. So the only person that I needed to tap in was Uncle. Nah, let me stop. But Uncle Brother's in the building. We just got Uncle Brother actually in our OG Network Instagram group. So I know that's going to go crazy. I know he's going to have a whole bunch of stuff that he'll be sending our way so that we can become better informed, better, well-rounded individuals. That's why we always appreciate your contribution, big bro. Uncle Brother, yo, I'm glad I have my phone in my hands. I was looking forward to this evening. All right, so this is what I may end up doing. I'm not sure. Depends on what time we finish up dinner, but we got so much to touch on. May still do the night show, but I just wanted to make sure that if we didn't get to do the night show, that we would be here. Hashim, hopefully I'm pronouncing it correctly. Hashim 6,000. My bad. I didn't mean to divide you by 10. We got a 10x, if anything. Hello. Appreciate you tapping in. For all those that are just joining, please make sure that you like as you're joining the room. That's going to help boost the algorithm. Let me actually send it out to a few people as well, but hopefully Like any of our other shows, we'll get more and more people to join as we're going along and discussing some of these topics. It's finna get hot. It's finna get hot. What's up, gang? What's up, gang? Yeah, we here. Matter of fact, yo, can y'all do me a favor? I realized that on the last show, it was cutting up a little bit because of the Wi-Fi. Let me just connect this cord. Hold on. I can still talk to y'all a little bit. So for y'all, I'm giving y'all some information. So if you guys have a pod, this is gonna be your lifesaver. So sometimes when I forget to plug in the LAN cord, or sometimes I'll plug it in and forget to turn off the Wi-Fi, it'll be a little bit jumpy where it's like cutting off the video and whatnot. Let me just plug this into my router. I'll be right back. Oh man. I feel like I'm gonna need a water, but we just going off coffee. If I get a little lightheaded and I look like I'm about to pass out, somebody give me a warning. Tell me to get some water. Oh, that's up there. There we go. All right. So, what's the topic of today, man? Soft men are destroying America. Soft men are destroying America. And I'm realizing it in so many different ways. And before I get into that, I got to recognize the happy birthday to moms. Happy New Year to moms. I like that. Happy New Year. So mom, she's definitely listening. I actually just got off the phone with her. I blame her. That's why we didn't start at 12:30. We started at 12:45. I started calling her, messing with her about Trump and stuff like that. So that conversation, 5-minute conversation with me saying FaceTime and saying happy birthday, all that other stuff. And of course I said it first thing, but I FaceTimed her, talking about that. And it turned into probably a 45-minute phone call. But it is what it is. It is what it is. May she make this her best one yet. Moms, this is going to be the best one yet. She is at, you want to tell them what level you're at? Not age, what level you're at, mom? If not, I won't say it. We just go off of how we're feeling based on how the energy is, how our health is. Moms is very young, very young. You're live on something else as well. So we go live on, I used to think we were going live on Rumble until I went on Rumble and realized that the link, I don't think that it's appearing on Rumble, but we're on Twitch. We're on Facebook Live. We are on YouTube, obviously, and then we're on LinkedIn Live. So mom just sent me the text. She was cool with me saying it. Hold on, I'll let y'all. So this is what mom's wrote. Hold on, maybe y'all can see it. I am 71 years young. It's a little fuzzy, but y'all can see it, right? I am 71 years young. 71 years young. Mom Dukes, man. The only thing that she hasn't accomplished in this life is what my brother and I prevented her from accomplishing, becoming the greatest grandmother of all time. But other than that, that's on the things that are in her control. She's excelled at. So we always appreciate that. And all right, so I guess we can get right to it. Okay. Hold up. Yeah, Hashim got me feeling good. Damn, homie hitting the gym. Look at them biceps. Hold up, bro. Don't be amping me up. It's too early on the show. My brother Dot in the building. My brother Dot's in the building. My fault, Hashim. I appreciate I really appreciate that. I've been in the gym. We've been working. But I got my brother Dot, my brother, like my mother's kid in the building. Appreciate you, brother. But yeah, let's get into it, man. And as always, I encourage all feedback. Tell me where I'm wrong. I want to be wrong. Let me not say I want to be wrong, but I want to be able to present things that always challenge my current way of thinking. And I have no problem being wrong because that's the only time that we're going to learn. But this situation, I know I'm not wrong on. Now, let me stop. There's always, always open to certain aspects of it, or I could just be wrong in total. Uncle Brother wrote, age ain't nothing but a number, but can tell moms is young at heart. That's a fact. That's a fact. That's a fact, man. Love, 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 love. It's always great starting. Y'all give me the greatest icebreakers. I feel like I don't even have to have an icebreaker with y'all because I just tap in with y'all. We start talking about something and we go from there. But let's get to the topic. Soft men are destroying America. And I guess I should define soft. There's no, I guess I should define soft. I don't know if I will, but let me actually, let me a little bit. So initially I was going to write soft and unprincipled men, or soft and weak men. I was going to write. I still do think that it's soft and unprincipled, but I don't think it's necessarily weak men. I do think that we have weaker men in this current society than we've ever had. I do believe that. I do believe that from a physical standpoint, from a mental standpoint. I just believe that, you know, as the saying goes, what is it? Hard times create strong men create easy times create weak men create tough times. I just believe that that's where we are in the cycle. So it's just a cycle, right? This is just the most privileged times that we've had. So what goes along with that is having some softer times, or not as strong, right? Not as strong, weaker men. When you look back at the physical education classes, when you look back at, they used to do the Presidential Fitness Award. I would love for them to show the results from the Presidential Fitness Awards. When I saw gym classes, when we see these clips of gym classes in the 60s, 70s, and 80s compared to now, it's crazy. It's crazy. Huge difference. We all know that. We don't need to get into that. But the reason why I said it's not as much soft, and maybe it is, I mean, it's not as much weak, it's more soft, is because I'm realizing that how I distinguish between weak and soft is weak is just somebody without a certain amount of strength, without a certain amount of power. When I say soft, I mean people that can be the strongest people in the world, can have a bunch of power, but for whatever reason, they compromise their morals. They compromise what's right for what feels good. They compromise telling you the truth for not hurting your feelings or for wanting to be liked. They tell you they'll compromise telling you what you need to hear and instead tell you what you want to hear. That's what I mean as soft, just to differentiate between the two, soft and weak. Two different things as far as how I look at it. So let me be clear. Soft men are ruining America and have ruined America. And I'm happy that we are now in a cycle where it seems to be where people are fiending. People are looking for something hard. We're back. All right. So I had to get rid of the Wi-Fi. So every time I cut the Wi-Fi, that's sometimes what happening. But as I'm going through these topics, that we're going to discuss today, I'm realizing more and more how much men are to blame for every position that we're in right now. So here's the topics that we're going to discuss. We got a WNBA owner. I believe she's the owner of the Washington Mystics. She made some comments about Caitlin Clark that I think are just crazy, insane, and the most feminized perspective that you could have. And when I say feminized, I'll explain that a little bit more. I'll explain that. I mean more emotional, and yeah, we'll get into that. Then we have DEI. Is DEI in corporate America dead? We have a segment from CNN where they're discussing DEI and in corporate America. Another situation where I just feel like soft and unprincipled men have destroyed this country. It goes back to the conversation that we had before on the last show, where it's like, can you even believe? Like we're getting ready to get into February, we'll have Black History Month, where I think we talked about on the last show, where you have videos of Black people like being celebrated as heroic for going to a white restaurant, dealing with everything that those white employees did to them, spitting on them, or the other customers, putting ketchup on them, making them pick up food in the back, making them sit at the back table, making them sit next to the kid, whatever it is. That's seen as heroic rather than just going down the street and supporting the Black restaurant. Like, just think about that mindset. Think about that mindset. And that's how I look at DEI. Instead of us fighting to have our own businesses, we're instead trying to fight to make the white-owned businesses or whatever group owns this business, we are going to force you to hire a certain amount of us. It is insane. And it just shows the mindset of just straight employee, victim, all these different things rather than owner, controller of your life, a person that takes accountability, a person that sees a situation and says, oh, okay, they're not hiring. Well, we're going to create our own. Not we're going to force them to hire us. We'll just build our own and compete with them. That to me would be a manly approach rather than this DEI approach. I could be wrong. Then next, this Duke accuser. So this Duke accuser came out and admitted she was lying on these Duke kids. And could you imagine that if it was a white lady who lied on some black kids and those black kids' lives were ruined, how much of an uproar there would be? When this lady, she just came out and acknowledged it in the podcast. That's neither here nor there. This Duke accuser getting away with this, in my opinion, was a part of that whole believe all women movement. Y'all remember it came around, I don't know if it was before or after the Me Too movement or came with the Me Too movement, but you had a whole bunch of people that were running around saying whenever a woman accused a man of something, we should believe all women. That is an insane mindset, and a mindset that soft, clownish, unprincipled, and weak men have allowed to happen when people should have stood up and said, of course we're not believing all women. That's the dumbest shit I've ever heard. Why would you believe all of any group? If you had any group believe all of them, no, we're not believing it, all of what any group says just because they're a part of that group. It's the dumbest thing, but men were too scared to come out and say this because of the backlash that they would get by all these other women groups or just other men's groups that are controlled by women. And it's the same bullying tactics that the LGBTQ community used during the George Floyd situation, when it started off about Black Lives Matter because of George Floyd. And then next thing you know, LGBTQ, the group, I mean, the group, the agenda, not the actual people I'm talking about. Got to separate the two. Then it turned into them going into different businesses and saying, if you don't support or put this rainbow sticker on your business, then we're going to get it shut down and we're not going to support, or we can't guarantee you safety when we start reconciling. Soft men allowed this nonsense. Soft men across the board allowed this nonsense. What's the next topic? Mainstream media. And that's kind of a sidebar, I would say. Mainstream media, when Van Jones comes out and says that mainstream media is losing. MSNBC, we see their viewership down tremendous amounts. Why? When you look at the TV during the day, we watch The View. I've seen certain shows like The Real. I see a lot of all these women's shows that are geared towards women. That's what daytime television is geared towards. Have y'all ever seen a show during the day where it's a group of men sitting around discussing topics that are relevant? Oh, it used to be sports, right? Well, now you got women in there too. Now you got women. So there's still no just group of men that are sitting around like the View ladies do and just discussing topics. Why? Because the mainstream is not, they're not trying to appeal, especially to young men. They're not trying to appeal to middle-aged men. They're not trying to appeal to men with conservative values. The people that they're trying to appeal to are women and then older men that did not grow up with phones, so they don't even understand how to access certain podcasts and certain shows on YouTube. But even though, and maybe that goes to show that mainstream media hasn't caught up with the times, right? Y'all want to fight for women to have corporate jobs and all this, and men can be the stay-at-home dads and all that stuff. So if that's the case, then why not cater your television to men as well? Why not just, there has to be shows, right, where men are just sitting around just talking about stuff, right? Right? Just based on women now being out there on the workforce, but they have not made that adjustment, and that is why they will continue to lose, in my opinion. And this is just another that doesn't directly go to the overall topic that we're having, but that's just something that I've noticed. So let's get into some of these first stories. The first story that we're going to talk about. Let me bring up this Megyn Kelly video. Matter of fact, no. The first video that we're going to talk about is a continuation of this Caitlin Clark situation. with this owner that we mentioned before. This, to me, this Caitlin Clark situation, and I hate to, I really don't blame Caitlin Clark. So if you guys are not familiar, she won Athlete of the Year, and in her interview, she came out and acknowledged her white privilege, how she wanted to celebrate the Black athletes that came before her, whatever. And the things that we were talking about on the show is a lot of Democrats were celebrating her acknowledging this. And I was sitting here saying, I'm like, could you imagine how pissed off a lot of the Black women, the Jamel Hills, the Carly Champion, I believe that's her name. Could you imagine if Tiger Woods or if Serena Williams came out and said, hey, I just want to acknowledge my Black privilege in the sport of tennis, because tennis has been dominated by white women for so long. They actually got it to a point where now I have the opportunity to take it to the next level, make a lot more money than they were making at the time, and really turn it into a mainstream sport. Could you imagine Serena Williams saying that? So we already talked about that. I'm not going to get too much into that. But listen to this piece. Listen to this Washington Mystics owner, and you guys just tell me what you think on it. You tell me what you think on it. Maybe I'm bugging, maybe I'm not, but let's get into it. And shout out to my guy
Johnson. I believe she used to be married to Bob Johnson. I believe she got her wealth in a divorce. The Washington Mystics owner, I believe her name is Sheila Johnson. I believe she used to be married to Bob Johnson. I believe she got her wealth in a divorce and taking half of his money. She's now an owner of part of the ownership group of the Washington Mystics. She went on CNN over the weekend, I believe Friday and or Saturday, to talk about Caitlin Clark being named Time Magazine's Athlete of the Year. It did not go well. She sounded very, very stupid. Here's Sheila Johnson.
It has taken the WNBA almost 28 years to get to the point where we are now. And this year, something clicked with the WNBA. And it's because of the draft of the players that came in. It's just not Caitlin Clark. It's Reese. We have so much talent out there that has been
Why are men allowing this? Why are women allowing this? Ma'am, you're full of ish. And I want to be respectful, so I'm not going to curse. You're full of ish. You have no idea what you're talking about. Don't tell me that it's because of, like, why do they always feel the need to say it's not just Caitlin Clark and throw Angel Reese in there? Stop it. You're not flying around on private jets because of Angel Reese's contributions to the WNBA. It's because of Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark is the person that people were tuning in to see lose against South Carolina in the championship. Not because they knew anybody on the South Carolina team, maybe knew Dawn Staley, probably never paid attention to her playing, but they hid behind that being a Black coach as the reason why they were rooting for the white girls in Iowa and Caitlin Clark to lose to the Black girls at University of South Carolina. What are you why is it, and you know the shame of all of this? If Caitlin Clark was Black, people would be so offended that she's not getting the proper flowers that she deserves. This woman probably single-handedly has contributed more and done more for a league perhaps than any other player in recent history, of maybe in any sports league. I can't imagine. I couldn't imagine, like, I'm thinking in my mind, I'm thinking about even going back, like, think about fake movies, even like Gladiator. Like, Caitlin Clark was Russell Crowe. Like, you know what I mean? People were coming to see Caitlin Clark. Like, even bigger than that. Caitlin, I just don't know why they feel that they have to minimize. It shows, it's so corny, and it just shows a certain level of disconnect. And because there's a lot of men that won't tell her exactly what it is, and there's a lot of white women that are too scared to tell her what it is. A lot of these Black women feel that they can go on and say anything and not even realize how much of a hater you come across as being. Let's keep going.
Recognized. And I don't think we can just pin it on one player.
There has been, this phrase has been couched, hasn't it? The Caitlin Clark effect. Why do you think that has been the case?
Well, I want to be very diplomatic about this. It's just the structure of the way media plays out race. I'm going to be very honest.
This is embarrassing. This is embarrassing. It's not, hold on. You know what's so funny? In any other industry where you're the minority, there's not as much black women in corporate America. You don't understand how hard it is for us to succeed. The culture is different. Everything's different. We have to. But then when Caitlin Clark's the minority in a league by being a white girl and by being an actual heterosexual white girl, or appears to be, in a league that is dominated by lesbians and gay women, or lesbian, however y'all, whatever, the LGBTQ, y'all know what I'm saying. It's now as if she has the most privilege in the world, where it's beneficial. And it goes back to the same thing that I said about Tiger Woods. You can't tell me that there weren't other golfers that were good. It goes back to Jackie Robinson. You can't tell me that there weren't other white baseball players that were just as good. So should they feel sad and say the only reason Jackie Robinson got attention is because he was black? Black people would be crying all February. They'd forget about it February 28th, but they'd be crying all February.
I feel really bad because I've seen so many players of color that are equally as talented, and they never got the recognition that they should have.
Did you hear what she just said, Dot? There's been other players that were equally as talented as Caitlin Clark. These black women, I'm sorry, I hate to categorize it. And my mom, I just got off the phone with her and she just gave me a suggestion saying not to categorize it. Yo, we keep seeing it, whether it's politics, whether it's this. What are they talking about? These black women are bullying everybody. They're bullying the white girl that's getting interviewed. They're bullying Caitlin Clark. They're bullying. How are you bullying the person that just upped your paycheck? The person that just upped by you getting more deals, by you getting a better television deal, upgrading your life, with you flying private, you no longer flying commercial, sitting in the middle seat. Like, are you serious? And this lady is going to be disingenuous and delusional and say that it's not she's seen other girls that are just as talented as Caitlin Clark. Who has seen other women that are just as talented as Caitlin Clark? Now, I will say, like a Maya Moore and other women like that, I don't know, but I've never seen anybody change the game the way that Caitlin Clark has. Now, let's be clear. Even if you look at Steph Curry, why was Caitlin Clark so revolutionary? She shoots the ball from a deep range like nobody's ever seen it before. Now, were there other players that maybe have been as gifted as Steph Curry? Perhaps. But that part of his game, he excels at different than anybody else. Now, should we just not acknowledge Steph Curry's greatness? Are we not able to do exactly what Dot just said? Every other sport can highlight and champion one player. Why can't the WNBA? This is what the NBA did with Michael Jordan after they had Larry Bird and Magic Johnson in it. And there's no Larry Bird and Magic Johnson in the WNBA. Let's keep in mind the WNBA loses money every year. They are a failing business that is subsidized by men, the NBA. And y'all, this is the reason why y'all are losing money all the time. This is the reason why you feel that you can, in any other industry, the owners of these teams would be embarrassed to go do interviews because they're a part of a larger organization that has failed and lost $40 million. On average, I believe it's $40 million. This year it was $30 million. Shout out to Caitlin Clark. But they're still losing money every year. Every year. But everything that these women do, whether it's Sheryl Swoopes, Sheryl Swoopes went from saying, oh, it's going to take her a long time to adjust in the WNBA. She's not going to just come in and dominate. If you thought that before the season, then based on the season, then wouldn't that shock y'all and really show how great she is? Because initially you were thinking that there's going to be a learning curve, that the only player there wasn't a learning curve for was Candace Parker, who came in and quote unquote dominated. And then Caitlin Clark comes in and dominates way more than her. But we're still not recognizing Caitlin Clark's greatness. And I would say shame on Caitlin Clark for bowing down to this, but what can I expect? She's a young woman in a league that is dominated by players that do not look like her, that probably do not share a lifestyle as her. It's a lot of pressure. She probably just wants to play ball and get along with people. But because of all this extraness and people's mindset like this owner, there's so much other stuff that she has to deal with rather than just playing ball. Listen to what she said again.
It's just the structure of the way media plays out race. I'm going to be very honest.
Thank you for being honest.
I feel really bad because I've seen so many players of color that are equally as talented.
She's seen so many players of color that are equally as talented.
And they never got the recognition that they should have. And I think right now, it is time for that to happen. So last night, we read Time magazine where Caitlin Clark was named Athlete of the Year. Why couldn't they have put the whole WNBA on that cover?
Y'all gonna act like y'all ain't hear that? So we're gonna sit back and act like we didn't just hear her say the most DEI participation trophy comment I've ever heard. Caitlin Clark wins Athlete of the Year. Why couldn't they put every player from the WNBA on there? This is why sports isn't the same anymore. This is why sports isn't the same anymore. And I have to be honest with myself. One of the things that I think about a lot, and we're going to get right back to that, but one of the things that I think about a lot are how my thoughts on Colin Kaepernick when it was going on at the time and him using his platform to speak on or take a stand on social issues. I don't think that Colin Kaepernick, I'm not to the point where I would say that I think Colin Kaepernick was wrong. But I can't front. The slippery slope that it has created with everybody trying to turn sports into something that to push this issue, to push this stance, to push that, I don't like it. I don't like it. Sports is just supposed to be, look, we're playing against each other. Who's better? Period. That's who gets the trophy. That's who gets the award. Who wins? Sports is supposed to be the most objective and unbiased place that there is in this world. Sports, where nothing else matters. We're just trying to win, period. We don't need to prove this, prove that. We don't need to have a quota where we need this amount of people on the team that come from this income bracket. We need this amount of people on the team that, have a mixed background. Or do we have any black players? Do we have any white players? We got anything? That's not what sports is supposed to be. That's not what it's supposed to be. And maybe I'm also pissed off a little bit about where it's even going with the NCAA football, Travis Hunter. And this is a total side note, but just give me 30 seconds on this. I didn't want to comment on what Travis Hunter's been going through with his girlfriend. Didn't really want to talk about that. I can't comment on it. Travis Hunter's 21, 22, millionaire potential, or may already be a millionaire, has a fiance at a very young age, been locked in, seems to be responsible, seems to be only worried about that girl. I could sit here and say, nah, bro, like, you need to relax. You need to chill. I'm 37 right now. I'm not married. I don't have kids. I don't really feel that I'm in a position to speak on Travis Hunter, at least from a critical standpoint. I really don't. But what I will speak on, that's his relationship. What I will speak on is Travis Hunter winning the Heisman, which I actually thought that Travis Hunter was more qualified to win the Heisman than to win Defensive Player of the Year and Offensive Player of the Year. It is terrible that Travis Hunter won Offensive Player of the Year. It's terrible that he won Defensive Player of the Year. He did not earn those awards. He did not. Come on now. You got the running back at Boise State doing what he did on offense, and you give Travis Hunter that award. You got some of these defensive players putting up these numbers, and you're giving Travis Hunter this award. Now, the Heisman to me was different because that's like the best all-around player. Travis Hunter is the best all-around player to me, but he's not the best offensive and he's not the best defensive. And everybody's celebrating him winning all of these awards, not even like being critical of the fact that, yo, he just stole this award. Like they robbed this running back from Boise State of an award. Everybody knows it. And everybody, just because we're so in love with Deion Sanders and Colorado, and we're just so happy that we do not care. And that's the softness that I'm talking about in men. Forget who you like. Forget who you're a fan of. Who put in the work and earned the award, period. So I told y'all only 30 seconds. Let's get back to this. Let's hear what we're only a minute and 45 seconds into this. Let's hear what else she has to say.
Athlete of the year. Why couldn't they have put the whole WNBA on that cover and said?
I didn't even address that part. The reason why, ma'am, you can't put the entire WNBA on the cover is because the entire WNBA did not win Athlete of the Year. Caitlin Clark won Athlete of the Year. This is what losers. This is a loser mindset. And I'm going to tell you why. Winners would never, competitors, let me not even say win. A real competitor does not want a participation trophy. A real competitor wants to compete against somebody else, compete against the best, figure out who is the best. And the only way that they can claim that they are the best is to beat the best. And if they lose to the best, they do not want to sit up on the same pedestal and get the same trophy and get the same of money. They don't want the same thing that the winners got. You just beat me. I don't deserve this. You do. But I'm coming for you next year. That should be the mindset. What is wrong with people now? So now Caitlin Clark has to get, could you imagine, let's flip the script, if Caitlin Clark was black, if Caitlin Clark was Serena Williams, if Caitlin Clark was Tiger Woods, could you imagine a black owner, a white owner of a sports team in the league that this person's playing in? Golf, obviously, it's a little bit different. Could you imagine, and tennis, because they're individual, not teams, but could you imagine somebody significant and relevant in golf and tennis coming out and saying, well, they should just put everybody on it? You know, the tennis, you know, since Tiger Woods got into golf, you know, obviously it made it a mainstream sport. It made it relevant. It made people want to watch. But honestly, it's not just Tiger. We should put everybody on there. People would say that that's racist. People would say the nerve of you to take a spotlight away from Tiger Woods. That's what y'all white folk always do. That's what people would say. Why can't people just see things and keep the same energy when it's Caitlin Clark? This is embarrassing.
The WNBA is the league of the year because of all the talent that we have.
The WNBA is the league of the year because of all the talent that you have. Ma'am, you are a failing league. You are a failing league. She thinks that the WNBA should be league of the year for what? Because y'all were just doing so terrible. Y'all were $40 million. Y'all were losing $40 million. Now you're only losing $30 million. Now you're supposed to earn an award for being the best league in the world. Or what is time? Is time in America? Now you're supposed to be the best. You won an award for the best sports league in America. You know what happens to a sports league, a men's league that loses money every year? They never make it to their 28th or whatever year this is for them, the WNBA. They never make it. The XFL, if you heard about them, the UFL, all these other arena, even at a certain point, all of these other leagues, once they don't make money, they fail. They don't have a crutch of another league that's bigger than them to subsidize them. They don't have that. The league goes out of business. That's what happens. This is what I meant earlier when I say women want the privilege of women, the power of men, and the accountability of children. Now, a whole bunch of women will be mad at me for saying that, but it's so funny that I say it so often on this show because I provide example after example after example. Women want the privilege that comes along with being pretty outside the club. They want that, right? They also want the power of a man, the man that has to pay to get in the club. But they also want the accountability of a child because, oh, it's just a child. You can't hold them accountable. I can do whatever I want. Because when you just keep singling out one player, it creates hard feelings.
And so now you're starting to hear stories of racism.
And let me get to Uncle Brother's comment. My fault. I'm a little late. In another discussion about this, they cited that the WNBA as a business is basically failing. As you just stated, it's currently being subsidized by the NBA. League of the Year. This, Uncle Brother, this is insane. But this is what I'm saying. I've heard the saying so many times, behind every successful man is a successful woman or a strong woman, whatever the saying is, right? Who are the men in her life? Like, where are the men in her life? Who are the men in her life that can't just tell her exactly what you just wrote? This is an owner of a team. And going back to what Jason Whitlock said, I know it was 2 minutes ago on the screen, but because I've been rambling so long, it was a while ago. I don't know. Jason Whitlock got the information. I haven't confirmed it, but apparently she got her wealth from being married to somebody that was wealthy and then divorcing them. Because I don't know too many people that are owners, business owners, that don't understand this connection, that don't understand that, oh, I'm the owner of a business. I'm the owner of a business and I need to make money. I need to be in the green, right? That's why we had, or in the black, whatever. That's why you got Black Friday, right? Because you got a day of the year designated to helping companies make more money so that they can be in the clear and be on the up and up, be in the black, right? Not in the red. Y'all have been in the red for almost 30 years, man. What are you talking about? But because weak, soft men are too scared to tell you what it is and are too scared to say, okay, y'all want to, if y'all want to be treated as men, if y'all want us to all be on the same playing field, if y'all want to be seen as hey, we're on the same level, then you also have to be held to those same standards, man. You have to be held to those same standards. You are a failing league. It is what it is. Matter of fact, most leagues like this, there's so many like indoor football leagues, like I think there's an IFL. There's so many indoor football leagues that I've seen, and they're low budget. I don't know if they typically don't fail, but they're so low budget. You want to know why? Because they're not subsidized by the NBA or the NFL. They don't have that privilege. They don't have that crutch that they can lean on. Don't you think those business owners would love it if they, yeah, we could just worry about the game. These people are crazy.
Within the WNBA, and I don't want to hear that.
This woman knows nothing about competitive sports.
Agreed.
She got her money from marriage and divorce. She doesn't understand the culture of sports. Why couldn't we just put the whole WNBA and name them as Athlete of the Year? Because it's Athlete of the Year. It's not Organization of the Year. Well, and now players are upset when you just single out one player. Well, yes, that's what children do. When children see another child get something that they want, they get jealous. Do you pander to the jealous people, or do you tell the jealous people to go sit down somewhere and shut the F up and work harder, and you'll get the same attention? This is, I watched this interview and I saw these clips and I was like, I just don't know if you can run a league build a league run by a bunch of women who are controlled by emotions and feelings and don't have the courage, the stomach, the resolve, the convictions to tell other women, hey, shut up.
And I'm saying that about men. Now, he's targeting the way. I get all that. He's not wrong, in my opinion. Now, this is all just my opinion. All right, so I know that was only 3 minutes. We're gonna move on. We got a bunch of stuff to hit. I want y'all to take a look at this Megyn Kelly story. Well, actually, is the first one Megyn Kelly? It's actually not. Hold on. So we're gonna listen to this Megyn Kelly video. I don't think that this is the right one. Hold on.
Was released from his.
Hold on.
Brave
We may do.
says
All right, so we'll do the Hill. My guy Robbie. If y'all ain't, Robbie took the glasses off. If y'all not familiar with my guy Robbie, get familiar with my guy Robbie. So this story, I'm not sure if y'all are familiar with this, but this was a wild story where apparently this lady on CNN, she's won a lot of awards for doing stuff overseas and investigating. I forget her name. Her Clarissa Ward, I believe is her name. She was convinced. She came out with a story and it ended up being a fake story. And I just want to comment on certain things that happen around this. If you haven't heard it, let me just shut up, share the screen with y'all.
Fake story. And has now admitted that she did in fact get it wrong. Last week, a video segment by Ward went viral. Ward was looking for Austin Tice, an American journalist who was kidnapped in Syria more than a decade ago and is feared to have been killed. In the video, Ward enters a Syrian prison hoping to find Tice and records the moment when a man who was ostensibly a prisoner of Bashar al-Assad's recently toppled regime was released from his confinement. Let's watch some of that.
He tells the fighter he's from the city of Homs and has been in the cell for 3 months.
Okay, you're okay.
Yeah.
You're okay. You're okay. You're okay.
He clutches my arm tightly with both hands.
Okay. Does anyone have any water? Water.
All right, time out. First off, the man is shape up. They're trying to make it seem like he was just released. My man looks like he came straight from the barber. His clothes are clean. He doesn't look dirty. Let's just keep going.
He clutches my arm tightly with both hands.
Okay. Does anyone have any water? Water. My. Okay, it's water. It's water. Okay. Okay. Okay, you're okay. You're okay. You're okay.
We start to walk him outside. Thank God you are safe. Don't be afraid, the fighter says. You are free. This is the third prison they brought me to, he says. The third prison. After 3 months in a windowless cell, he can finally see the sky.
It was a moving moment, one that earned Ward much praise for her reporting and for documenting it. The segment positively took Jake Tapper's breath away.
Another just absolutely remarkable report. CNN's Clarissa Ward in Damascus doing vital journalism. Thank you so much. We'll be right back.
But here's the problem. There are allegations that Ward was duped and that man was not maybe a prisoner at all, or at least not who he said he was. The Syrian fact-checking website VerifySci reported that the individual in question had provided a fake name. They pointed out inconsistencies in his story, say that he appears far too clean-shaven for someone who has been imprisoned for months, and according to VerifySci, his true identity is Salama Mohammed Salama, who worked for the Syrian Air Force under Mossad and engaged in theft and extortion. VerifySci wonders if CNN deliberately fabricated the story. Now, a deliberate fabrication seemed unlikely to me, but the questions raised are, in fact, important ones, because something definitely was amiss here. The New York Post described Salama as a notorious torturer working on behalf of the Assad regime. The Gray Zone's Wyatt Reed excoriated Ward for becoming the unwitting media accomplice of a widely hated Assad official, and Hassan Akkad, a filmmaker and activist who was previously held as a prisoner in Syria by the Assad regime, also had doubts about the video. He wrote on X, "I think this is staged. CNN should investigate. Happy to be proven wrong." He said the cell looked unlived in, adding, "Individuals are never locked in communal cells. That never happens in detention centers. None of the clips surfaced of people being released showed a single person in a communal cell. I watched every single clip." CNN decided to investigate the matter. In a statement, the network said, "We reported the scene as it unfolded, including what the prisoner told us with clear attribution. We have subsequently been investigating his background, and we are aware that he may have given a false identity. We are continuing our reporting into this and the wider story." Now, later, the network admitted that the man in question had in fact given CNN a false identity. He was indeed a lieutenant who served Bashar al-Assad.
All right, we're going to pivot very quickly to this next video. This is Megyn Kelly talking about the same topic. This is a day or two after that last video. The reason why I'm showing this is a few different things. For one, could you imagine if we did not have let me hold on. Could you imagine if we didn't have social media? Could you imagine if this happened 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago? Could you imagine if these things came out 40 years ago and nobody was there to call them out on, hey, this seems a little fabricated, it seems a little fake. Now, she seemed a little bit over the top when I'm looking at it. It is what it is. Maybe she just really thought that this was about to be like the story of her life. I don't know. But it just seemed fake to me. It just seemed not real. Like the guy didn't look like he smelled anything. Like I would just be thinking like, yo, I don't know. But that's one of the things that I want to bring up. The fact is, could you imagine if this happened before? Do you really think that these news outlets, these mainstream news outlets, would then feel compelled to go back and acknowledge the mistakes that they previously made? I'm just asking. Now, I want y'all to check out this, and let's go through it, because I think that something that I learned very early on, right? You learn certain things from your parents. Something that I learned early on, I'd say that this is definitely what my dad, and I think I've spoken about this before, of course, my mom too, but it's just, a different level of disciplinarian when it's your pops. Told me to just tell the truth and admit when you're wrong. Admit when you're wrong. Don't half-ass it. I was wrong. Here's where I messed up. Now let's take a look at CNN to see if CNN did it just like that.
Story that we've been following out of Syria. Sleuths started investigating this guy and so on. Turns out they didn't even have the guy's name right. They identified him incorrectly. They went with his word, which was a mistake. He said that his name was Adel Gerbal, and it turns out his real name is Salama Mohammed Salama. Lada Salama. And this guy was not only just not a regular civilian, he was a lieutenant in the Assad regime. And Clarissa, why don't you just do that? Why everyone would have said, we got it. And it turns out we were misled by this guy. We're going to audience. We did present it as we found it. Clearly, we needed another few days of fact checking before we aired it. And it turns out we were misled by this guy. We're going to investigate just how badly we were misled and why. And we promised to do a follow-up report. And everyone would have said, we got it. Thank you, Clarissa. Why don't you just do that? Why is everyone at CNN so dumb? So, no, here's what she did. On Wednesday, when they broke, first she tweeted out, one of the most extraordinary moments I've witnessed in nearly 20 years as a journalist. Then the blowback had started by the time we hit the weekend. It was like on Friday. And she tweets out, the man from our report reunited with a family member, showing pictures from the Syrian Red Crescent. Crazy. Oh, such a lovely success story, Clarissa. Still not acknowledging the many problems people were raising with the report. Then on Monday, by this point, we've already done 2 full segments on this show, not to mention all the coverage every place else, but I'm just saying the controversy was well out there. Here's what she tweets out. We can confirm the real identity of the man from our story last Wednesday as Salama Mohammed Salama. Like, as if in the original report, she had said, we found this man, but he speaks a language we don't understand, and therefore we don't know what his name is, but we'll get back to you. That would have made, we can confirm the real identity of the man as Salama Mohammed Salama, an appropriate tweet. Like, oh, our audience knows we're digging, and we finally struck gold, and we've got his name for you. This does not acknowledge at all the fact that we at CNN misidentified an untrustworthy player in our piece by a name he gave us that was not his. We apologize for that error, and we've also been made aware of many other red flags all over our report, which we will investigate now too.
There's no admission. It's misleading. If somebody tweets, we've confirmed, just like what Megyn Kelly said, oh, we confirmed. Well, ma'am, what about the people that didn't see that you guys made a mistake or maybe missed some earlier tweets? Why would you not? They're trying to half-step something that was a very embarrassing situation to them, which they could have used it as an opportunity to show how they value the integrity and ethics of journalism. But instead, they half-stepped it And and maybe it's because they're so nervous about their ratings, especially since Trump won. Maybe that's what they're scared of. I don't know. But to kind of, oh yeah, we've confirmed that you didn't, is confirmed the right word? Because like you confirmed the name, but you didn't confirm your story. Your story was complete BS. It was made up. You lied, or you didn't lie, but you were just wrong. That guy lied to you and you reported it without doing a thorough amount of investigation. I mean, clearly people were seeing, people tweeting were saying like, yo, that doesn't look like a prisoner to me. They ignored it and they kept going with it. And to me, it shows a certain level of disingenuous journalism based on when people are wrong and can't admit that they're right. Do y'all remember when I think there was the situation in the Olympics that we reported on with the boxer, and it was initially being reported that that woman was an actual man, a transgender man, but it was a lot more complicated than that. Like, she was born with certain chromosomes. She has a condition that makes her, more masculine. And what did I do on the next show? The next show, I had a segment. S-H-I-T, I got wrong the other day. Ish, I got wrong the other day. Now, I could have easily came on there and said, oh, well, I was just reporting what was reported to me. No, if I'm telling y'all it, I'm not going to blame. I told y'all. I'm not going to now blame, I told you the wrong thing. Oh, that's what they told me. No, my bad. I shouldn't have told you that. I was wrong about that. I should have done more due diligence. I should have dug into that because I value my word and the things that I'm expressing to y'all. So therefore, it's on me to apologize, not to point the finger down the line from that person who got it from that person in the telephone game. CNN can't even do that. CNN can't even do that. So to me, that raises a red flag in the things that I can trust, because how you apologize about something and acknowledge how you were wrong says a lot about your character. So now I'm questioning the things that maybe we didn't call you out on, that you may have been wrong. If you found out that you were wrong a week later, a month later, a year later, would you then come and acknowledge it and let us know the truth? Because none of y'all did that with Trump when it was very fine people on both sides in Charlottesville, right? Had me thinking for years that he's talking about the neo-Nazis and white supremacists. And then 4 years, or damn, is that 4 years? Then 7 years later, I start to do my due diligence and dive into it. And I'm like, damn, he did condemn them. In the next two sentences, he said that he's not talking about the neo-Nazis and white supremacists, that they should be condemned at all costs, and then doubled down on it in future interviews. But I still was thinking in what all they told me was very fine people on both sides. This is why mainstream media is losing viewership.
None of that's in there. She's trying to get credit for having corrected her erroneous report without acknowledging the error, which is not consistent with journalistic standards or practices, and she knows that. And so does CNN. You are further embarrassing yourself. You made a mistake, fix it, and move on. Stop doubling and tripling down so that you don't have to acknowledge you effed up. It's actually not brain surgery. Just own your mistakes. And then the CNN report that she linked to styles the discovery of this man's real name as follows. As CNN continued to pursue information about the freed prisoner after the original report, multiple residents said the man was not, as we had previously identified her as, no, they didn't say that, but was not Adele, whatever his name is. Okay, so as CNN continued to pursue information about the freed prisoner after our original report, like we were just doing normal follow-up that we would do in any circumstance after we put a story to bed. Bullshit. In the normal story, after it's to bed, you move on, you find the next story. You don't continue kicking the tires on whether the guy's name is real. You did that because you were humiliated by the Syrian fact-checking organization that's been doing good work and holding people's feet to the fire. And they were the ones who said, none of this is right. So you were forced to go back and figure out through facial recognition technology what you had done wrong. And you stumbled on a very big one, which was, this is not who he said it was.
Like, we should just be assuming everybody, they should just come and do a report on me. I'll tell them anything that they want to hear. You know, I'll start making stuff up and they'll run with it, apparently. Uncle Brother wrote, this reporter is infamously the one who sniffed a backpack supposedly laced with a chemical weapon poison of some kind live on the air. CNN is straight propaganda. Wow, I've never heard that. I've never heard that. See, now, you know what? You know what? This is what should happen. Now, when people come out and don't apologize and don't acknowledge their mistakes the right way, now we will go back and look at certain stuff. So, Uncle Brother, I'm going to check out exactly what you just mentioned, and maybe that'll be on the Friday show. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. So I wanted y'all to see this conversation about DEI in America. Is DEI in corporate America dead? So let me share that conversation. Of course, our boy Scott Jennings was on there. Abby Phillip, she was on there. Let's some of our favorite CNN characters were on here. So let's take a look at that. Let me make sure the screen is shared for y'all. Let's take a look at this conversation, and we'll just kind of play it and comment as we go along.
Are changing how they talk about it, but they're still engaging in the practices. And the reason why is because there's a lot of research that says that it helps companies make more money. It helps them perform better than their competitors. They're just trying to stay away from the public blowback, it seems.
Well, I mean, let
me correct. I have to address that, and I know it's just the first 20 seconds. Diverse companies, diverse teams do better. They have more perspectives. There are different perspectives and unique experiences in life that can lend them to have different solutions to different problems, right? So all of that is clear. But let's be honest, we're talking about two different things. To say that diverse teams allow for better performance, I'll give you an example. I agree with that, but let me give you an example. On the football field, it's maybe one of the most diverse sports that there is. Maybe the most diverse team overall, both from a mindset, physical attributes, all of these different things. The wide receiver can't play offensive line. The offensive lineman can't play wide receiver. D tackle can't play. The D tackle is not even suitable in a lot of ways to play offensive tackle and vice versa. I mean, I'd say D tackle could probably play offensive tackle, but I'm not sure if offensive tackle could play. Y'all get the point that I'm making. It's a very diverse thing. However, it's not forced diversity. DEI, when I say DEI, the thing, uppercase diversity, equity, and inclusion, is totally different than diversity, equity, and inclusion. But we're just focusing on the diversity part, lowercase diversity. If that's the case, Abby, and businesses do perform better, then what is the point of having to force those things? And if we're complaining about a company, to the point earlier where I said that soft men, complaining about this company not hiring enough people, like allowing that, rather than just saying, you know what, this company only hires this type of person. So if diversity really does make you a better company and compete better, then wouldn't common sense say, if this company's only hiring one type of person, then why don't I just start my own company that's going to compete against them, and I'll hire diverse people and we'll beat them. And then we'll set the tone, we'll set the culture. And then for them to adapt, they'll have to bring on certain people. Isn't that what happened with the major leagues when they brought on Jackie Robinson and certain teams in order to compete, right? In order to compete, you got all these other teams that are allowing black players that are very good to come on and join their teams. Now you can either stick to your whites only team if you want, but I doubt that you're going to be able to compete. I bet you'll lose fans. I bet you other players will become more celebrities, bigger. I bet you more players will be more attracted to those other teams, the winners, than your team. But why is that not our mindset? Forced diversity, equity, and inclusion is totally different than us understanding that diverse teams perform better.
Pretend that corporate America doesn't have a problem with race, doesn't have a problem with diversity. They do. But I think the color they care the most about is green. And so the first thing that happened with DEI was you had the George Floyd protests. You had a lot of pressure, both nationally and internationally, for companies to really commit to doing something about what was happening with race and racism in America. And now you have the blowback from that. That always happens. We see it historically, that whenever there are advances where race and other matters of diversity are concerned, there always blowback. And so they're looking at the money. That's all they care about. Now the pressure is coming from the right. Before, the pressure was coming from the left. If it comes from the left again, they'll move back to where they were.
I mean, some of the performative stuff in the post-George Floyd era, we could all live without, to be honest. I mean, I don't really need to see Coca-Cola's whatever, just using that as a random example. But some of these corporations...
You mean like them writing Black Lives Matter on the street? Did anybody think that that was going to improve race relationships? Did you think that was going to improve race relations? Let's write Black Lives Matter on the street. We know the situation didn't happen in New York, but let's write it in New York. Let's write it in DC. And how many of y'all black folk were reposting it, posting it, saying how proud you were that they wrote Black Lives Matter on the street? It's all symbolism. Because black people, we are a culture that falls in love with symbolism and have been confused and manipulated by symbolism. We're so used to that being our prize, symbolism, rather than actual results.
Were just trying to virtue signal while doing nothing actually about what's going on within their companies.
Yeah, I think the question is, do you want diversity, equity, and inclusion? That's the first question. It's kind of like a chart. And then if it's no, then okay, then the conversation ends. And if it's yes, then it's like, how do you actually get there? From 2020, even in that year, many companies did, again, symbolic postings on their websites. But to do real DEI work takes the intervention is not just one office with one person who does a webinar once a year during Black History Month or Women's History Month. You really have to evaluate your practices, your protocols, and really make a long-term commitment. It takes time to change some of the practices and you have to.
Or you don't. She said, if you really want diversity, equity, and inclusion, that's the DEI, the diversity, equity, inclusion, the capital DEI. If you want diversity, you don't have to do any of these things. My mom just she's been giving me a valuable lesson when it comes to women, because I remember my initial thinking was, I would rather have a man in office as president than a woman. Then maybe, I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago, 6 months ago, maybe less than that, maybe around like 3-4 months ago, I completely changed my perspective. And I said, you know what? I don't need to lead and say that I would rather have a man because I think that certain attributes that men have make them more qualified to be the president. I didn't have to say that. You know, all I had to do was say, I just want the best candidate. I want the best candidate. Now, if everything that I believed before about wanting a man as a candidate for presidential, for the office of presidency, then if I just say that I want the best candidate, it's still going to end up being that, right? But I'm not being led by that. So I changed my perspective. And I'm no longer being led by, hey, I want a man in that office. I just want the best person for the job. I just want the person that I think is going to be able to lead me best. That's what this should be led with. That's what DEI should be led with. It shouldn't be the whole DEI thing where people are just running in there and creating quotas and all this other stuff. It should be, we want the best results. We are trying to win. We're not trying to fill quotas. We're not trying to get a good ESG score, whatever that's called. We're trying to win. If you got a better DEI score, ESG score, whatever, and y'all lost, cool. You get your DEI award. I want my award for winning, for my business winning. But it goes back to that same WNBA. It's like we're valuing having DEI over actually winning as a business. We're valuing the wrong things, in my opinion. And when you lead with the DEI, in my opinion, you end up doing a disservice to your company. If I'm somebody on a team, if I'm the captain of a team, right, I want the best players. So therefore, if the best players all look like, let's say all the best players are Black. If there's a white kid over here, an Asian kid over here, then I'm not going to say, you know what, y'all Black kids, I know a couple of y'all have earned it, but, you know, we got to let some of them play, you know. No, that's not fair to them. because now I'm putting them on a team where they're not equipped to play and they're taking opportunities away from people that have earned it more than them. I'm going to tell that white kid and that Asian kid, hey, you come to me, I'll even help you. These are the things that you need to work on in order to get some playing time because these players are better than you. I'm not going to lower the standards for you. I think too much of you to lower the standards for you and to put you on that team and to take away an opportunity away from one of them that they've earned. So therefore, this is what I'm going to do. This is the standard. Become better than that player in these areas. Become better, and then you'll play. And then you won't have to worry about me. Once you earn that position, you won't have to worry about me taking an earned position away from you. From somebody else that, we have an Indian kid on the team now, so I know we gave you a position because you were the white kid, but now we got the Indian kid, so we got to take it. No, merit, results. We're trying to win here. That is the only way to be objective, is to lead by trying to win, not by leading by, hey, we're trying to make sure that we got the most diverse team, because it's a slippery slope. It's a slippery slope. Okay, well, now we need an Irish kid on the team. Okay, now we need an Italian kid on the team. Now we need a Venezuelan kid on the team. Oh, and now we need a kid that comes from a single parent household. Now we need a kid that has his home income is less than it. Come on, bruh. This is supposed to be sports, and business should be run in the same way. There's a reason why we used to look at sports as not having to have all these issues in it, where sports is like the last thing. And maybe this is why people are getting so pissed off and turned off on sports, because this was the last arena that all this DEI and all this other affirmative action stuff, it was just sports, results, stats. What's your batting percentage? That's what it used to go off of. Now it's a whole bunch of other stuff. And to me, it's not only diluted sports, but it's confused us in a lot of different ways. And now we're applying these principles, these lost principles, in a lot of different areas of our lives, and just wondering how we got to these positions. And once again, I bring it back to soft men. I am not begging any company, any corporation to hire more of me because they don't want to hire more of me. No, I'm going to create my own. That's called an opportunity. Where other cultures see opportunities, we play victim and then want to beg people to put us in positions. If we are that good of workers, why would we want to go work and extend our talents to places that don't even value them?
To decide you want to do it. Now, I do think the analysis may say it's not going away, but we do know after the Supreme Court affirmative action decision, beyond just higher education institutions, many corporations, many other institutions started to look at that as a signal that they could start rolling their DEI practices. And to add the cultural component on top of it, it is not as if some people of a certain political party have not even used the word DEI as a trope, as a slang, as a term of slander. And so the question is, like, what is the real intention behind your work you do with DEI?
I think you raise an excellent point. Actually, I know something about this because my nonprofit, Lift Our Voices, focuses on this. And I can tell you, you're absolutely right. You have a tremendous number of companies that have these great ads where they're talking about their diversity, equity, inclusion work, but the work doesn't actually exist. And what they do is they silence their workers with forced arbitration and NDAs on the first day of work.
That's because y'all bully them into accepting this stuff. You bully people into it and then get mad that they're not taking it seriously. And this is why I say, just don't even allow yourself to be bullied, you soft men. Stop allowing yourself to be bullied. Not only are you allowing yourself to be bullied, but now they're going to blame you after you've been bullied in a situation and you say, okay, we'll do it. Now they're criticizing how you're doing it. Not just end the bullying. Hey, if you don't like how things are done here, you can go elsewhere. If you don't like the Patriot way of doing your job, and if you don't like how Bill Belichick, the standard he's going to hold you to, the standard that Tom Brady's going to, if you don't like what comes along with that, then go to another team. That's sports.
work, which means that if you are racially discriminated against, the very same companies, and I know who they are, you're watching these commercials where they're constantly having, the African-American husband with the Asian wife, and they're talking about how, they're all about inclusion. And in reality, what they're doing is they're telling their African-American workers or their female workers or their gay or lesbian workers, keep your mouths shut because you have an arbitration clause or an NDA and you can't talk about what's going on at this company. And so, the hypocrisy I could do without. And actually, we're launching in January a corporate rating system that would be able to tell you which of these companies silence their workers. I think that is the key to making sure that you have a diverse workforce, because by doing these silencing mechanisms, they're driving out the very people they pretend to want to enfranchise.
What did she say
Pick an
about
NDA,
silencing?
and you can't talk about what's going on at this American workers or their female workers or their gay or lesbian workers. Keep your mouths shut because you have an arbitration clause or an NDA, and you can't talk about what's going on at this company. And so, the hypocrisy I could do without. And actually,
I don't even know. I don't really understand what she truly said. But if you sign an NDA, that's on you. If you're too scared to speak out on certain things that are not going well in your industry, then that's on you. Like, this is what I mean as far as like soft men. I just had this conversation with my mom, and we made a joke. And it was a joke where I was reading an email that I got, and I was like, yeah, they pay me. I'll do just like how CNN and MSNBC does. You pay me a certain amount, and I'll say whatever you need me to say. And I was joking around, and she asked me, she said, would you really do that? She already knew the answer, but she asked me. I said, there's absolutely no chance that I could do something like that. I said, look at what I do right now. Look at my last post. Hold on. This is what, hold on. We got to go to this. Y'all be thinking that I'm playing, man. I just really think that I'm protected. I think that the most godly thing that you can do is to walk through life and really believing. And my dad just sent me a text to ask y'all to like. So make sure that y'all like the show. Make sure that y'all like the show. I go through life really believing that if I just do the right things, I'll be taken care of. If I'm as honest to myself as possible, I'll be taken care of. I'll become the best version of myself. That may come with certain challenges and obstacles and problems that may come my way. It doesn't matter. My mindset is, that's happening for me to learn this lesson by going through this challenge and this problem. That's my mindset. So I don't just say stuff just because how this person's going to respond to it. Maybe that helps me in sales. Maybe I'm in a profession that I should, especially being in healthcare. But let me show y'all something. Hold on. Let me share this screen. I'm going to show y'all my last post. I'm going to show y'all my last post that I just put up. I believe. No, I'm sorry. My post yesterday. I put up one today as well. Let me show y'all this. Let me share the screen real quick. I got to show y'all this. All right. Let me see if I want to make this part bigger. 1 second. Here, let's split this up. Let's switch this up. So take a look at my Instagram. Look at my last post. Your daily choices are either feeding future growth or fueling further frustration. Choose wisely. Yeah, all that. That's the challenge that we had this week. Look at this is from yesterday. 1/4 of what you eat keeps you alive. The other 3/4 keeps your doctor alive. I don't think most doctors are going to like that, but I don't care. It's not like I have I just don't care. Like I'm standing on what I believe that. Most doctors do not want you to be healthy, do not want you to be proactive in looking up natural things that can help your conditions, that can help your overall health and wealth. Most doctors don't. And if a doctor is getting upset with me saying that, then maybe that says a lot about what type of doctor you are. Because especially if I'm not a doctor and I can be in the healthcare industry and see how harmful and how upside down and backwards this industry is and what they profit off of, if I can see that, then I know a doctor can. And I've spoken to certain doctors where they say that even in med school, big pharma's running stuff. Now, my main business, my bread and butter, what puts food on the table, what pays for this apartment, what pays for Miami, is based on working with doctors. So why would I put myself in a position to where a large portion of doctors are going to be upset at what I post? It's simple, because it's the right thing. I believe that it's the honorable thing. I believe that this is standing on integrity. I'd rather make less money than tell people lies. I'd rather make less money and have to find another industry to work in than to make money from people than to continuously make money from people being sick. I actually sacrifice my time, effort, and energy on a day-to-day basis having this show that hasn't paid me $1. I still haven't gotten my AdSense together, so I can still say that. It still hasn't paid me $1 because I think that this is the righteous thing to do. I really believe in the messages and bringing these topics up and having these conversations with y'all. I really believe in it. I don't even know where we were. Let's bring this video back up and let's just keep going.
We're launching in January a corporate rating system that would be able to tell you which of these companies silence their workers. I think that is the key to making sure that you have a diverse workforce, because by doing these silencing mechanisms, they're driving out the very people they pretend to want to enfranchise, because it's people of color and women who are mostly affected by them, and they're being driven out of the workforce, out of their chosen careers, because of these silencing mechanisms. I think it is crucial to get rid of those.
Ashley also mentioned higher education. I mean, we did get some signals about what's been going on in higher education at Harvard. Harvard Law, they saw a huge decline in Black and Hispanic students. They enrolled 19 first-year Black students, 3% of the class, the lowest number since the 1960s. The school also saw a steep decline for Hispanic students, just 39 students, a fall from 63 back in 2023. So there's been a clear decline as a result of, this is the affirmative action ruling from the Supreme Court.
I mean, I think some universities were using these policies to discriminate against Asian students and other kinds of students. So, pick your discrimination. Who do you want to be discriminated against? Wouldn't the fair way to do it would be to say, we're going to look at everybody's test scores, we're going to look at everybody's applications, and we're going to do it agnostic of race, and we're going to let the most talented and the most accomplished students come to our universities. You mentioned the Supreme Court ruling, by the way, on affirmative action, which I do believe was a seminal moment because it reminded me, when it happened, that a vast majority of Americans do not want affirmative action. They do not believe in these forced racial preferences, and even a majority of African Americans agreed with the ruling at the time. And so when some people often accuse Republicans are on the right, but I think a lot of Americans all across the spectrum look at this and say, I want to rise and fall based on my own talent and my own hard work. I don't want to rise and fall based on the pressures being put on me by people who don't know how much work I'm putting in.
Well, let's talk about fairness, because I think when you talk about fairness in education and bringing people in according to their grades and according to their test scores, first you have to fairly fund the schools that they come from.
No, they don't. No, you
we
don't.
just had a ruling that said that our...
No, you don't. Like, what is this black man talking about? First, you have to fairly fund the schools. A school is a business. Could you imagine like sports teams saying, like, y'all do realize that not every sports owner has the same amount of money. The Yankees may be able to spend more than the Miami Marlins. This is not manly. First, you got to fund all the schools the same way. No, you don't. What are we talking about? Did I hear him? Maybe I heard him wrong.
Yes, because I think when you talk about fairness in education and bringing people in according to their grades and according to their test scores, first you have to fairly fund the schools that they come from. In Pennsylvania, we just had...
So he said fairly fund, my fault. I heard that wrong. He's saying fairly fund the schools that they come from. I'm glad that I just ran that back. Weak again. I was wrong. I thought he was saying the colleges. So I was wrong when it comes to that. When he's talking about fairly funding the schools that they come from, it's all BS. And this is the same reason, and this is why I'm calling BS. The same people that were complaining about Donald Trump and Project 2025 and saying that they're gonna get rid of the Board of Education. The same people that said, oh, he can't get rid of the Board of Education, the same Board of Education and school system that has been failing black kids for decades. Black people are at the forefront on CNN and MSNBC and all these other liberal platforms jumping up and saying, Project 2025, he's going to get rid of the Board of Education. So what? Get rid of it. It's failing us. What are some other options, Trump? What are some other options, Heritage? Because we don't like the Board of Ed either. So he's complaining about the Board of Education, saying it's all, at what point do people just sit there and say, I may not have the same funding as that person. I don't care. I'm going to compete. I'm going to compete. Like I don't understand this mindset to where everything has to be totally, completely the same and equal for everybody to compete. Bro, I'm not worried about that. I'd rather spend my time getting better. I'd rather spend my time getting better than spending my time complaining about why the field needs to be level.
At a ruling that said that our schools are unfairly funded according to poverty, right? And so it's not just race, it's poverty.
So then get rid of these Democrats, these Democratic mayors y'all got in Chicago where the kids can't read. Check some of these Democratic states that are run. You got New York, right? New York and New Jersey, they're Democrat, run by Democrats, right? Baltimore got a black mayor, right? DC's black. The kids can't read in those areas. If they're not reading up to grade level there, what is the excuse? It's not funding. People just try to act like it's funding for every situation. It's culture. It's mindset. This is the same thing that I talk about reparations. If it was just funding, if I was truly a white supremacist, you know what I would do? I would beg people to give out to give out reparations to black people. If I was a white supremacist, I would beg whoever and who, please government, take my tax dollars and give them out to black people, especially if I'm a business owner. I would beg. You want to know why? Because that money is going to go into every bit of the economy except black people. That money's going to go into new cars, new this, new that. The same thing would happen with the pandemic when Trump gave out them checks, right? It's a mindset thing. You can give people all the money in the world. If they have the wrong mindset, they're not going to know how to use it. They're just going to lose it and give it away to people that are out, that can outwit them and outsmart them and encourage them that they need to have this car, live in this house, spend this money on these type of clothes in order to be seen in a particular regard. It's not just a money thing. Everybody wants to complain about money because it gives them an excuse about actually doing the work. Put some pressure on these teachers. Why are there all these white teachers teaching in these black public schools? Incentivize some more black people to teach those kids, right? I am so sick of this victim mentality, bro. It's just weak men, soft men.
As well. And so there are some white school districts that aren't getting the money that they're supposed to get. There are some black school districts that aren't getting the money that they're supposed to get. And I'm defining them that way because our schools are still.
You know who I never hear talking about funding of schools? I never hear the kids that seem to do the best. Asians. I never hear, hold on. You got a big screen me on this, Judge. Why do I never hear the population and demographic of people that does the best in our school systems, that has the best test scores at Harvard, that actually have to score a lot higher than the other kids to get in? Why do I never hear them talking about the education they're not getting funded as much? Their high schools aren't funded as much here and there. And it doesn't matter whether the Asians are a poverty level or wealthy. I don't ever hear them complaining. But their kids tend to get the best results. Maybe it's because of things that they're doing at home. Maybe it's because they're prioritizing education over sports. Maybe because they're prioritizing education and they have developed a culture, a family culture that is geared towards becoming successful in life rather than following these dumbass celebrities. I just don't buy into it. I do not buy into it. It's corny. It's just not masculine. If something is not right, I'm not blaming the school system that my kid is in. I'm going to figure out a way to do stuff on my own, to incorporate certain lessons with my kid so that they can read at a proper reading level. They can do math at a proper grade level. They are equipped to be successful in life. That's not, why would I expect strangers that are not family members, anybody outside of my family, to prioritize my kids' education more than I prioritize it myself? Why would I expect that?
Segregated. Even after Brown versus the Board of Education,
I was also
separate is not equal.
I was
It's
just reading
not.
a headline from the New York Times today about a lawsuit against a bunch of elite schools, Georgetown, Penn, and MIT. And guess what the preferences are? For people whose mommies and daddies have a lot of money and they just got a ticket into the school. I just don't get, where's the outrage about that? That's been going on in this country for hundreds of years.
Well, I don't agree with that either.
Where's the outrage? Why are we only focused on race when this is affirmative action?
But I do have something to say about what you just said.
No, I just wanted to say that I think that the whole issue of DEI became much more prevalent when there were issues in the military. I think a lot of people were very put off by some of the contradictions, concerned that our soldiers weren't really ready for their missions and were more concerned about DEI or more concerned about their pronouns that they used. And this was, I think, part of what really set off a lot of Republicans and conservatives that, you know, they started to look into DEI initiatives and are they working and what do they really mean?
I think one of the things about the affirmative action decision that is a misconception is that there is this belief of what is the merit-based system if you're just looking at grades, but what actually adds to the quality of the discussion in a classroom at a higher education institution. Diversity of lifestyle also is something that you don't want everyone to come from the same walk of life. You don't want everyone to have the same ideology. That is not the rigor of, but I also
you may
will
also
say,
not want.
How about this? If you are a private school, private business, institution, do what you feel like doing. You do what you want to do. Do what you want to do. Because if all these things are correct that she's just saying, if those schools are going to pick kids that are going to go, that are not going to allow the rest of the kids to have a better experience, to have better conversations in the classroom, to develop better. Yo, pick whoever you want to pick to go to your school. It's your school. And if you want to pick a school that only has a certain type of people in it, then that's on you. Matter of fact, as I'm sitting here thinking about this, look, I got to say it. I don't think anybody would argue with me except the particular group. That's a little joke. All right, what am I saying? All right, hold on, let me see. Outside of Jewish people, I don't think that anybody would argue with me when I say that Jewish people are very successful. That's a little joke. All right, laugh. All right, boom. To the point where they try to hide their success, right? Have y'all ever, are y'all tuned in with how a lot of Jewish kids grow up, their schooling? A lot of them go to Jewish schools from the time that they're in pre-K or kindergarten to high school. There was a school where my Jewish family, they went to Solomon Schechter, my next door neighbors that I grew up with. Benji and Sonny. They went to Solomon Schechter. They never, even though they lived in Montclair, paid all those absurd Montclair taxes because Montclair public schools are supposed to be, held in such high regards, all this other stuff, and they're cool. They went to Solomon Schechter. I'd say that they turned out pretty well. I don't think they may have never ever gone to school with another black kid, another Indian kid. I don't know. I just don't know. I'm just kind of picturing in my mind what the school was like. I'm probably not that diverse outside of Jewish. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure there's diversity within Jewish type. I'm not saying all Jewish people are a monolith, just like all black people are a monolith. But when in these conversations that we're talking about different races, different levels of poverty, different, I don't know, whatever. I'm pretty sure that those kids do just fine. So it's like you can be successful by having just, a particular group. Cool. And a lot of them go to yeshiva, which is a Jewish university. They're fine. And you could say, well, their social skills aren't as good because they only went to school with a certain group of kids. So therefore they don't know. They seem to be doing just fine to me. There may be other schools that are very diverse. Montclair is very diverse. Montclair High School, the high school that I grew up, is very diverse. And the reason why you kind of just heard me like, it's cool. My mom taught in the school system, right? My mom taught in the school system. My godmother's husband, he used to be, I believe he was the assistant superintendent or something, whatever. Montclair, yeah, the kids at the top do very well. But that doesn't mean that everybody else is getting that same time. There's different ways to go about stuff. If it's your school, if it's public, that's a little different. I understand that. But when it comes to a private school or a private business, hire whoever you want to hire. And dare somebody else who thinks that your hiring practice is wrong, dare them to go out there and compete with you. And if you're one of those people that thinks that their practices are wrong, compete with them and win and beat them and rub it in their face and let them know exactly what you did in order to beat them. If you really feel that way. And use that as a marketing tool to bring on the best people. Because people want to be associated with the best. People want to go to the best this, the best that. That's the only reason why they're bringing up Harvard in this conversation. So if you feel that your practice is better than the people that are in ownership, right? You're a worker. If you think the owners, they're messed up, they're doing it all wrong. They're doing it all wrong. I know they put their blood, sweat, and tears in this, but they're wrong. Okay, so prove it. Go out there and compete and beat them. Just go beat them. And if there's a lot of people that share your same mindset, because we know that you're right? We know that they're wrong. So if you're right and there's a lot of other people that feel right, then you should have plenty of people to go out there on their own and really put their money where your mouth is and go start your own and go compete.
Want them to have the same test scores.
That's right.
Too.
Well, I also will say, I understand when the decision, I don't know the source that you quoted, but we do know in affirmative action that white women have actually been the biggest beneficiaries of affirmative action. And even though the lawsuit was brought and it was brought with Asian American plaintiffs, their numbers have also decreased. So they are also seeing backlash from that ruling.
All right. I think we got one more.
We can return to that.
We had a couple of other
reaction, Fox.
But we're probably going to have to save a couple for Friday. Y'all know how it goes by now. Don't act surprised. Don't act surprised. All right, let's move on to. All right, we're going to hide this one. I think this is the one that we're showing. Is this it? No, this isn't it. All right, 1 second. Let me get the right video queued up for y'all. So we're going to talk about Trump and Biden. Trump and Biden. News Nation. I should have showed a Fox one or MSNBC so I can clown. But News Nation did a story, and I think y'all should take a listen. And I would love to hear y'all feedback.
The election. President-elect Trump yesterday called on the Biden administration to stop selling unused border wall material. Federal law requires the sale or disposal of the materials, much of which was left at construction sites exposed to the elements for years. The unused metal, steel, and other items have reportedly been used for other barrier projects or requested by other states, including Texas and California. So let's bring in News Nation's Robert Sherman live in Palm Beach, Florida. And Robert, the Pentagon is saying that it cannot block any further sales because much of this material has already been distributed.
Yeah, without question here, Nicole. And this is something that has certainly been generating controversy among conservative circles, especially as video.
Why just conservative circles? This is insane, bro. Like, this is really one of those stories where I'm like, damn, like this conservative, Democrat, left, right, liberal, progressive, conservative, like this may be our least intelligent generation ever. Like, we're living in it. I'm a part of it. I'm saying this is the least intelligent we've ever been, maybe. Where common sense, we're so technologically advanced, where common sense and logic just has gone out the window. Let me explain this real quick. Donald Trump won the presidency. He campaigned on building the wall. Before he campaigned on building the wall, Joe Biden, Barack Obama, Nancy Pelosi, they all were in favor of building the wall. They called it the fence, right? But as soon as Donald Trump decided to campaign on the wall, everybody was up in arms saying, you can't build a wall, whatever. Donald Trump starts building the wall, has all this material that as soon as Joe Biden and Kamala Harris get in office, they did not complete the wall. So they had all this leftover material, and you've seen photos of it where maybe, let me see if I can pull up a photo. Hold on, wall. Let me see, border wall. materials. Let me see if I can pull up a photo of what the border wall materials look like. Materials laying on ground. All right, let me see if I can get a picture of some of the border wall materials. Unused border wall. I don't see any photos of it that would highlight exactly what I'm talking about. All right, but is this one? I don't know. All right, neither here nor there. All right, so the border wall, because it hasn't been completed, a lot of the materials were already set in place to be built in certain places, but because the border wall was not going to be built by Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, it just stopped. So there was just like border wall, just material, just laying on the ground where it was supposed to be built. So Biden is deciding to sell the material for pennies on the dollar. So we made an investment with our tax dollars to buy this material for this wall. Biden is now deciding to sell it for pennies on the dollar, where we're losing a lot of our money that went into it, right, out of our taxes. We're losing that. And he knows that Donald Trump is getting into office and is going to continue building the wall. And now we'll have to buy those materials again for not pennies on the dollar. It's like I would almost buy the material just because I know the government can come back and holler at me and buy it. They got to rebuy it for me. Like, this is crazy that Joe Biden is deciding to do this in his administration. Like, it's like if Trump did something like this, we would be up in arms saying that, hey, he's trying to destroy the country. He's trying to run the country into the ground. But when Joe Biden does it, it's like we just excuse it. This is insane, bro. Why are you selling material for the wall that we're going to need in 2 months? Let's keep going.
Such as this one, which comes from the Daily Wire, have started to circulate online, where you see videos of these border wall materials being hauled away, being carted off to be auctioned off. And that's why you had the president-elect weighing in on all of this, in which he hit directly at President Biden for the sales of all these border materials. This is what Mr. Trump had to say this week. Take a listen.
We spent a tremendous amount of money on building the wall. The administration is trying to sell it for 5 cents on the dollar, knowing that we're getting ready to put it up. And what they're doing is really an act. It's almost a criminal act. They know we're going to use it, and if we don't have it, we're going to have to rebuild it.
So that's what the president-elect is saying, but the lieutenant governor of Texas, Dan Patrick, weighing in, saying that Texas officials looked at possibly buying some of those materials, but said, quote, the Texas Facilities Commission told us today that the material for sale was mostly junk, with most panels covered in concrete and rust. There were a few panels that might be usable, not worth the cost of shipping to Texas from Arizona. Lieutenant governor said that if there were any panels, that it made economic sense for them to.
So let's say that that's true. Obviously, I don't believe it, but let's say that it's true. That means that, well, why is it rusted? Why is it unusable? It's because y'all decided not to do anything, to try to stand on a point rather than doing what makes the most sense for our country. We have a migrant crisis that escalated, I think, 4 times the amount of people that came in under Trump at a certain point were coming in under Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. So y'all escalated the border crisis. You got rid of all the rules that Trump had put in place. You got rid of all those. The numbers of migrants coming in skyrocketed. You did not continue to build the wall. You bragged about Donald Trump saying that, oh, Mexico was going to pay for it, and we ended up paying for it. And you guys decided not to use it and are now 2 months before Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are leaving the White House. Now you're trying to sell it for 5 cents on the dollar. Does this make any sense?
Purchase, they would do so and then give them to the incoming administration, which has vowed them to. Lieutenant governor said that if there were any panels that it made economic sense for them to purchase, they would do so and then give them to the incoming administration, which has vowed to build a wall along the U.S.-Mexico border. Nicole.
Yeah, and Robert, despite this criticism coming from the president-elect and from other Republicans, it was actually Congress and the Republican-controlled House which mandated that these unused items be disposed of.
Yeah, that's the important thing here, Nicholas, is that this is law. This is
wrong. Then Congress is wrong. Biden and Congress are wrong. This is why I don't get caught up in that whole red versus blue, Democrat versus Republican. People think that just because you like Trump, you got to agree with what the Republicans do. Never. They're wrong. They're stupid for doing something like this. For selling. And let me be very clear. When I say that they're stupid for even allowing it to get to this point. That's just my opinion. That's a stupid thing. Let me not call people stupid. It was a stupid thing for people to allow this border wall that we paid for. And I'm over here wondering why y'all aren't mad. Why are y'all not mad that all of this border wall material that we paid for out of our tax dollars, why are y'all not upset? Why are y'all not upset that, oh, it just all just went to waste? You know, we'll sell it for 5 cents on the dollar, and then we'll just buy some new ones. So now we're going to buy some new ones, right? So we're going to buy some new ones, and Trump is going to do what he can in 4 years to build. And then let's say that a Democrat comes into office after Trump's in office. Now, are we just going to repeat this process? Are we just going to repeat this process of, oh, okay, all the whatever hasn't been built, we're stopping, we're not building it anymore because we just told even though we were for the wall, Barack Obama, Nancy Pelosi, Joe Biden, go back and look at the videos we showed them on this show. They all said that the border wall makes sense and they all were in favor of it. And Joe Biden even came out and said, we need to build it, even though it's not the popular opinion amongst Democrats. So he decides not to build it. And now Trump's going to build whatever he can in 4 years, buy the material. And common sense, I told y'all, this is, I don't know if we've been as limited in our common sense and logic in the time in recent history as we are now. All of these technological advances have made us dumb, stupid, and I'm including myself in that as well. All of us.
On the books already. When you actually look at the National Defense Authorization Act, Section 2890, I want to read that for you. It says, not later than 75 days after the date of the enactment of this act, Secretary of Defense shall submit to Congress a plan to use, transfer, or donate to states on the southern border of the United States all covered materials with prioritization given to the refurbishment and or maintenance of ports of entry along the southwest border and construction projects aimed at stopping illicit human and vehicle traffic along the border of the United States with Mexico. That goes on to say that within 100 days, a plan has to be put in motion until the Defense Department is no longer incurring costs associated with states with Mexico. That's stopping illicit humans of entry, use, transfer.
Not later than 75 days after the date of the enactment of this act, the Secretary of Defense shall submit to Congress a plan to use, transfer, or donate to states on the southern border. So the Secretary of Defense, that's who Biden appoints. So if Biden's appointed Secretary of Defense, and maybe I'm wrong on how I'm processing this information. If Biden's Secretary of Defense, why do we think that Biden's Secretary of Defense would provide a plan if Biden does not want to build the wall? Then it says, hold on, with prioritization given to the refurbishment or maintenance of ports of entry along the southwest border and construction projects aimed at stopping illicit human and vehicle traffic along the border of the United States and Mexico, signed by President Biden in 2023. I don't understand this. I don't understand this mindset. I don't understand this plan.
Border of the United States with Mexico. That goes on to say that within 100 days, a plan has to be put in motion until the Defense Department is no longer incurring costs associated with keeping those leftover materials. But we have heard from the Pentagon as well, which has said that about 60% of those materials, they've gone to organizations such as Customs and Border Protection, as well as some border states as well. And they say that an opportunity has been given to border states in order to purchase.
This is like money laundering, in my opinion. Like, this is what I hear, and maybe I'm completely off in how I'm processing this. This is the first time, like I told you, I respond a lot to these videos. Like, I'll see clips of them, but I don't watch the full things because I like to respond to them live with y'all. I don't understand this. And the reason why I'm saying it's money laundering is like, you buy it for a certain amount, right? You buy it for a certain amount. And this is how, I'm just making up a fake situation to kind of help me explain it to myself better, and maybe y'all can help as well. This is like when they said with the money that is given to Ukraine to buy weapons. Well, that money's not really given to Ukraine. It's actually just money that it's a check that's written out to the military industrial, the United States military industrial system complex, whatever you call it, to make weapons to give to them. So they're just writing a check for it. It's for the weapons to go to Ukraine, but it's really, I'm writing a check from the United States to the United States. So it's like the same thing with the border. This is how I'm processing this, where it's like, okay, you buy this material that you need for a border. You buy it at a particular price, right? Now you make that company who you're buying it from a lot of money. And we know that government contracts, they typically overspend. It is what it is. Then you get a government employee to now be on the board with this company that they just made rich, right? So now you got a government employee, when they're done, they're on that board. This is what you hear about a lot of these politicians, and you wonder why they come in and they're worth a certain amount of money. Then when they go out, they're making all this money. So they joined this board of this company that sold all these materials and got wealthy off of it. Now they know that the company, they can rebuy the material back for 5 cents on the dollar or whatever else, or even if another company buys it, then now the government has to go back to that same company or a different company and make another company rich because they got to buy the materials again. And now now that politician, whoever is running point on that deal, now they're in favor with this new company. It's like all of this stuff just seems to be money, and this is why Queez always says, follow the money. It's the only thing that will provide us answers, or the most clarity that we'll ever get, in my opinion. We may not ever get to the root of all this stuff, but it just doesn't make any sense to me. This doesn't make any sense to me, and I know I'm not the smartest individual, but I know I'm also not the dumbest. So if it's not making sense to me, does it make sense? Am I missing something? I could be, but I don't know.
Those materials there, those that weren't purchased are currently being auctioned off. Nicole.
All right, Robert Sherman live for us there in Florida. Thank you. Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com.
I should listen to always like a Democratic, liberal-leaning station. News Nation is liberal-leaning compared with, at least they are. And then that's Cuomo, liberal-leaning, Democrat, whatever. Compared to like some of the conservatives. We should do a compare and contrast about how those stories are reported. But I like to, obviously have both sides. If possible, and not just listen to the conservative side, even though I agree with them more on most things. I think that's the last video today. We were going to do Duke Accuser, but it's already 2:38. So we're going to wrap this up. Once again, it's my mom's birthday, man. So even if you're listening to this later on, tomorrow, next week, whenever, please do me a favor, send some good energy to her. We celebrate birthdays all year, right? Not just on the day, celebrate the whole year. Appreciate the whole year. So with that said, we'll do what we do on the end of every show. We'll take 45 seconds to breathe, manifest, clear your mind, do whatever it is you need to do to have the right mindset to finish out the day strong. We set out to have, on Sundays and Mondays, we set out to make this our greatest week ever every week. So this is what I would recommend. Take these 45 seconds. Like I said, you could do your breath work, breathe in some positive energy, exhale all the negative stuff, but do whatever it is you need to do so at the end of this show, we have the right mindset to have this be the greatest Wednesday of all time. So that way we're on pace to make this the greatest week ever. So with that, we'll start our 45 seconds now. And if you're in a safe place, I recommend that you close your eyes. All right, ready, go. Last deep breath. All right, y'all know what it is. We here to elevate on purpose, both from an intentional standpoint. Let's raise our standards. Raising our standards, that's the only way that we change who we are, by changing our standards and then changing our behavior to match those standards. Then we'll change who we are, become the leaders that our community, our village, our tribe, our family needs now more than ever, and to accomplish the things that we set out to accomplish. Sometimes we got to make changes within ourselves. So let's do that by changing our standards and upgrading our standards. Onward and upward, strength and honor. Y'all know what we do. We get to the bag. When we say get to the bag, we mean get to those little things that are going to amount to big wins and lead us along our purpose as we strive for purposeful abundance. So y'all heard me. Onward and upward, strength and honor. Let's get to that bag. What's in your bag? You got to figure that out. What's in my bag? Peace, love, happiness, and of course, health, wealth, and in everything we do. Integrity. And on that note, I shall see y'all soon. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all. If y'all enjoyed the show, please share with some friends, share with your group chat, repost, do whatever you need to do. We appreciate y'all. Over and out. Eat.